Welcome, guys. I'm here with my rock star lender at Atlantic Bay Mortgage, Baron. We known each other for about 3 years now. I met him back in 2022 when I worked with Berkshire Hathaway. Now I'm with EXP, and today we're going to be talking about the VA loan. So I'm gonna be asking some frequently asked questions, along with some of the questions that some of my clients have asked me, and I think will help you guys. So, do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Barron. I work for Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. I've been with Atlantic Bay for 4 years now. I got licensed back in March of 2022, and I've been originating, loans from, first time home buyer loans to VA, you name it, we do it all basically. And we really have a passion for helping VA buyers. In fact, we're in the top five VA purchase lender in all of North Carolina. And so that's just kind of our way of saying thank you for your service. And we appreciate you giving the ultimate sacrifice so we could, be here and be able to go about our lives and feel safe every day.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So we're gonna get started with the questions. So could you tell me what exactly is a VA loan and who qualifies for a VA loan?
It is a Veterans Administration loan, and anyone who is a veteran who has served, even in the reserves in the past or the National Guard, or active duty, can qualify for a VA loan.
Okay, so what if that person is in the reserves? Like, what do they have to do to
They,
qualify
they,
for
they,
VA
they
loan?
have to have 6 years in the
6 years,
reserves
6 years in the
to
reserve.
be able to qualify. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So, say they were on active orders, which means they're active for 2 years. How will the math work on that in terms of VA loan?
If they're active, then they can go ahead and qualify.
Okay, if they're active.
As long as they are active under Title 10 orders, they can qualify. Yes, sir.
Okay, so for example, I'm a reservist. I got active orders at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. I automatically am eligible to apply for a VA loan, or do I have to wait like 1 or 2 years?
Well. If you're in the reserves, but you're not under Title 10 orders, then obviously you would have to wait. But as soon as you get your Title 10 orders, then you can
Okay.
apply.
So it's all based on if I get my Title 10 orders
Yeah,
or not.
or if you have 6 years worth of experience in
Okay.
the reserves. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Oh, okay, cool. So everyone knows, and this is like the famous thing, that the VA loan offers 0% down. What do you think of that? And is there any additional costs they need to be aware of?
Again, that is one of the biggest benefits of a VA loan, in my opinion, is the fact that it is 100% financed. And now you do still have to come up with closing costs unless the seller is willing to pay
Yes.
or contribute towards your closing costs, which for a VA loan, the seller is allowed to contribute up to 4% of the sales price towards your closing costs. So, that's a big help to our veterans, as far as, hey, sometimes I've had some VA loans where they haven't had to come out with anything out of pocket. So again, I think it's a great program. The interest rate is one of the strongest among all the loan programs. It's right there, I'd say probably better than USDA and FHA for that matter.
What's the minimal qualification, minimal credit score that a person needs to have to qualify?
600.
600? Okay, so
Yes, sir.
anything less is
Anything less, we're going to have to work on getting their score up to be able to qualify for it.
okay. And is there anything else that goes into them being approved for a VA loan? Like, for example, their debt to income ratio and things of that nature?
Actually, the debt to income ratio is it's pretty great because it can go all the way up to, I've seen 57%. Yeah, which is strong. Now,
Yeah.
we don't always recommend that by any means, but obviously, hey, if you need a house and your debt to income ratio is still tight, then we can still close the loan and make it work for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Okay. So, what's the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval and which one is needed in order for the person to go house hunting?
So a pre-qualification is basically I have spoke with the borrower over the phone or in person. I've gotten their information. I've entered them into the system, seen what their credit looks like, and then let them know, hey, you're either pre-qualified or here's the things we need to do to work on your credit to get it where it needs to be so you can qualify to start house hunting. So, I mean, either way, you can go house hunting with a pre-qual or with a pre-approval. But for the pre-qualification, that's just basically saying, hey, I've spoke with the borrower, and based off of the information that they have disclosed to me, here's how much I can qualify them for.
Yes.
A pre-approval is I've gotten all their income documentation, all their asset documentation. I've verified that their credit is strong still, and I just know for a fact that based off of the numbers that they for sure qualify for this sales price. So a pre-approval is the strongest offer that any seller can receive.
So you saying a pre-approval will definitely strengthen their offer?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I mean, I 100%, I love it whenever my clients upload all their documents right from the get-go, because that tells me, like, hey, I can go ahead and send this to them, pending everything matches up with what they've told me in the in the pre-qualification phase.
Yeah. So I get a lot of questions from people, who I tell to get pre-approved and I send to you. One of the biggest questions they ask is, what do I need to get pre-approved? And I try to, set them up with the right things and the right tools necessary, so when they get to you, the process is smooth. So could you tell the audience kind of like what is needed to get a pre-approval?
So to get a pre-approval, that's going back to what we were just talking about is, either I can get your information over the phone, or I can get it in person, or I can send you my link for you to fill out your information on your own time, because I know, like, everyday life, we're all working, trying to provide the best means for our families. So, hey, if you need to fill it out online on your own time, then that's totally fine. I always like to do the in-person, just to provide that personal touch and see where you're coming from. And the pre-approval does come after the pre-qualification, after I have seen your documents, your pay stubs, your bank statements. For a VA loan, I have to see, or your LES, basically, W-2s. You can honestly submit an offer at that point. You can submit an offer with a pre-qual letter but it does help for you to upload all those documents up on the front end. That way it gives us more clarity as to, hey, here's for sure the concrete numbers.
For sure. Okay. So with the VA loan, what kind of house can they buy, and like what are the restrictions? Because I know with the VA loan, especially with the appraisal, it's very strict. So
it is. And so it's kind of like it's almost like an FHA, like it has to meet HUD minimum living standards. So whenever the appraiser goes out there, obviously there might be some cosmetic stuff, like there's a scratch on the wall, it just needs to be painted over, or something minor. But like, let's say there's, water coming from the ceiling, or, there's a hole in the wall altogether, that makes the house not livable. That's when we would have an issue.
Could you kind of explain closing costs to the audience? Because I definitely have clients come to me and ask about closing costs.
Yeah, and the closing costs are they include like the origination fee, the fee that we have to charge to originate your loan or do your loan. It includes like discount points, and those are the fees or the costs associated with buying down your interest rate. And then there is the appraisal. There's all kinds of title fees associated with it. And after you add all those numbers together, that's where we get your total closing costs.
And I would like to note that closing costs is negotiable. There has been some instances where the seller will pay all of the closing cost. How does BAH pay a factor in getting a loan?
It does help out because we can count that income included into, obviously for a VA buyer, if you're active duty, then we can count your base income, your BAH, and I believe your BAS, basic allowance for subsistence or meals, basically. And we can factor in all three of those incomes into your qualification. So
Okay. So this is the big question, and I know I talk about this on my YouTube channel all the time, but I want to ask you, the source itself, can you use the VA loan more than one time?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And what instances could you use a VA loan in, more than once?
Well, in fact, I mean, heck, I've got one right now. He is, he's looking at selling his house and just putting the net proceeds down. But he has used a VA loan in the past. But that doesn't mean that he can't get another VA loan, in the future. You can always get multiple VA loans down the process. But I do think that it has to be your primary residence.
Okay.
So
my next question is, can two veterans combine their VA loan together to buy a home? And would it increase the amount they get pre-approved for?
So two veterans can definitely apply for the VA loan, and with their combined incomes, yes, that will definitely increase their buying power for their next home purchase.
What VA loan benefit do most people not know about that would be, good for them to know?
If the veteran is disabled, then they can be exempt from the funding fee altogether.
Okay.
So
I think I did hear about that too, and I think not having PMI is such a huge benefit for military members and veterans. I hear all the time from my friends who are civilians who have to pay PMI, and they complain about it all the time. So that's definitely something or a benefit that the VA loan offers, and something to take advantage of, really. But this concludes our talk for today. I would like to thank Baron Wise with Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group here in Goldsboro, North Carolina, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Darian.
Yes, sir. And if you guys want to know more information about VA loans or just loans in general, go over to his website and you can talk to him directly. I'll leave the link in the comments, or I'll leave the link in the bio below. But until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.